everyone, my name is Isabelle, also known as Deja, and today I am going to be doing a reading vlog. So last week I said that I was going to be starting off kind of like a paranormal creature type of reading series, and so this is going to be the second installment, and that is going to be witches. I'm not a very big like witch kind of person, but I'm very curious to see like how a lot of like Black literature does witches, and I'm expecting a lot of like hoodoo voodoo type of vibes with a lot of the books that I'm picking up, but I don't know. I think it would actually be a little bit different based off of the books that I have chosen that I think I'm going to read for this vlog. And so the first one I'm hoping to read is The Witchery. I'm going to be listening to this one on audiobook, and I've heard mixed things about this one. I've heard people really enjoy it, and I've heard people just kind of like be like mad about it. And so I'm going to be very curious to know like where I land on this. I want to say that this one is following like 4 different girls who are all different kinds of witches, and I'm not sure, but I want to say that it takes place in a school or something like that. I do know all these are like young adults, so like they're teenagers, and so I'm pretty sure school's gonna show up in some part of this, but I also think that werewolves are gonna be a part of this. But this one I'm going to be listening to on audiobook while I'm cooking today, and so I hope to have an update for that one soon. The next one that I'm hoping to read is a middle grade, and that is Wildseed Witch, and I just love this cover so much. It's just so pretty, and I feel like this is going to be an interesting one. This one I do know takes place in school, and it's about like a young girl who discovers that she has magical powers, and I just really like the fact that this one also has like a young girl who has a YouTube channel, and I feel like that makes it a little bit more modern, especially because I know a lot of kids nowadays, and I guess adults too, but they're making channels and stuff because they want to be YouTube stars and all of that. And so this will be a very interesting one to read. I just really picked this up because of the cover, and so I'm hoping that I really enjoy it, and especially because it is middle grade, I'm just expecting it to be super cute and maybe deal with like a few themes or something, because in the summary it says something about like the elite like witches who can like put all of this stuff in like their line. I'm forgetting the exact word. Legacy? No, that doesn't seem like the word. I don't know, just a lot of like elite like Black people who are witches, or maybe not Black people that they said, but I'm assuming that's going to be dealing with like class issues and stuff too. And so that will be another one that I pick up. And then I found one called Apprentice, and I think this is going to be a different take on witches. This one is going to be set in Rome, I think, and I think the girl, she makes a deal to be able to get her witch powers. And so I don't know what I'm going to get from this one. I'm getting like gladiator vibes from it, but with witches, and I feel like that's going to be a very interesting combination. And this is an indie one that I'm just super excited. Like, I've had this on my TBR for a while, and so I'm hoping that I can get to this one as well. We're gonna see how all this goes. I feel like I'm going to get a lot out of these like witch books, and I feel like if it goes like how the last vlog went, where like it's kind of like discovering a little bit more in depth about things, like I feel like it could be very interesting to see like how these authors deal with just the paranormal aspects of being a witch, and maybe even like the historical aspects of being a Black witch. And so I'm excited to get into that. But for now, I am going to start listening to The Witchery once I start cooking and cleaning for today, and I will check in later. Alright, I wanted to do a quick update because I actually DNF'd the first book in this vlog, and that is The Witchery. This was not a bad book by any means. I just think that I'm not the reader for it, and I say that because it is a YA novel, and some YA novels I feel like you can get away with like reading because it doesn't really feel like it's written for teenagers, but this is one of those that actually do feel like it's written for teenagers. I saw a review where it said that it reads like a teen like paranormal TV show, and I feel like that's like super accurate. And I think if you want that and you like those kinds of stories, you would definitely like that. But the place that I am in my reading right now, I don't want that. And so I got 19% into it. It was all fine. I think the only thing that was really like bothering me was that like there was this one girl, Logan. I'm pretty sure she was a white girl that was on the cover. And I did not like her perspective. She literally is just like the stereotypical white heroine, and I was just super annoyed by her. I really did not like her parts at all. And the other three girls, like, they're referred to by her sometimes, like, in her chapter. Like, they're, like, the three black witches. And I'm just like, but why are you referring to them as that? But yeah, I'm going to DNF that one. I just could not find myself caring. And so I wanted to find another book on audiobook, but I'm not really finding anything that I really want to read right now. There was one book that I found on Hoopla that is Magic, Dark Magic, Divine or something like that. It's by AJ Locke. And I've been debating on whether or not I'm going to pick this one up because I'm very weird with paranormal stories in general, especially when it comes to, I don't know, just sometimes the way that it's written, especially if it's written in like the characters' like point of view, like in their first person and all of that. Like, I'm not really into those kinds of stories, and I feel like that's going to be one that's kind of like that. And I'm just not in the mood for that right now. Like, I really want something that's very atmospheric. I want like ancestral magic, but I want to listen to that on like an audiobook. Because I also think that what was happening with the Witchery is that I wasn't really into the narrator. Like, I was not into the audiobook, which I think is actually the first time that I can say that, because usually I'm not that picky with audiobooks, but this audiobook narrator, like, she was fine, but I don't think that it was the best thing that I've ever listened to. And maybe that's because I've been listening to more audiobooks to compare it to. But yeah, I just was not a fan of this audiobook narrator, whoever it was. So I'm on my search for an audiobook that has like an atmospheric kind of feel. I was going to do The Conductors by Nicole Glover because I heard that one is like a really good one. But I'm very iffy about that one. First of all, I don't really know if I want to read that one in audiobook, because that one seems like one that I would want to physically read, either ebook or like a physical copy. And then also, I'm not really in the mood for like slavery novels, which this is going to be like an interesting like twist on that, because they are talking about like the Underground Railroad. They are talking about the Underground Railroad. I can never say R word, so I have to say it super slow. But they're talking about that, but with magical elements, and so it should be interesting. I just don't know if I'm in the mood for that right now. Like, I really just want something atmospheric. Like, it's super cold outside, and it's just like the perfect weather to just cozy up. But I'm not really finding anything that I really want to read, or at least listen to an audiobook, because yeah, I need to listen to an audiobook while I cook, and I can't figure that out. And so we'll see what I pick up. I think the next one I'm going to pick up is probably going to be the Rhett Garvis book, The Last Witch in Rome, I think. Or maybe I'll pick up Wildseed Witch. Whichever one like fits my mood, I'll pick up next. But I just wanted to update you guys since I did DNF the Witchery, unfortunately.
morning, everyone. I just thought I'd do a quick update because I am now like 46% into Wildseed Witch, and like it's super early in the morning, which is why I'm like sounding the way that I am. And also, like, probably see my incense going because I like burning that in the morning. Um, but anyway, yeah, I am 46% into Wildseed Witch, I think I said, and I don't know. I feel like I have mixed thoughts about it. I did not expect this to be more of a finishing school kind of witchy book, but that's what it is. It's not really giving me the witchy vibes. I mean, they're plant witches, but it's more about charming things, as they say. So, in terms of just like etiquette and all of that. And so yeah, like it's not what I thought it was going to be. I really like the young girl's voice. Hassani is her name. I feel like she definitely just gives me like middle school vibes, and like I like that about her character. And of course, she's dealing with like mean girls and all of that, and so it's definitely giving me middle grade vibes, and maybe exactly for like a middle grade audience. But as much as I'm enjoying like reading it, I feel like there's not really a plot right now, and I'm like almost 50% in, and so I'm not sure what's going to happen because right now it just feels like she's at the school, but I'm just like I'm not sure what the external plot is going to be. And I'm just hoping that nothing is like really thrown in, because if it's just like a vibes book and being in this magical school, then fine. But I'm just gonna be really upset if a plot gets thrown in there. Outside of that, I haven't really picked up anything else. I'm thinking I'm going to pick up Rome the Last Witch, or Apprentice the Last Witch of Rome, or something like that. I'm thinking I'm gonna pick that one up next. And I have a few by Locke that I could read. I checked out the Vanished Witch on Kindle Unlimited, but I also have access to Magic Dark Magic Divine on Hoopla from my library. And that one is an audiobook. So I'm almost leaning towards Magic Divine, just because it's an audiobook for one, so I can listen to it pretty quickly. But also, I think that I kind of want to go in chronological order of like when the author was publishing things, because I would hate to like literally read The Vanished Witch and love it so much, and then I like tried like one of her first books and I don't like it. I'd rather show the improvement going forward rather than going backwards from improvement. And so I don't know if I'm weird like that, but that's just what I'm thinking I'm going to do. But I just thought I'd update really quick because I haven't really updated since I said I DNF'd the Witchery. I think that's what that book was. I will check in later when I have more to say, or I don't know. It's too early in the morning to really be thinking, but I will talk later.
I have finished Wildseed Witch, and I feel like I have interesting thoughts about it. It wasn't the witch book that I was thinking it was going to be. Their witch magic is more of charming people, and I would say it's more like Southern charm. And it was just like a very interesting like twist to the whole witch thing. I don't really have any strong opinions about it. I think that it was fine. Like, it just wasn't what I expected. I feel like also in the last clip, like I talked about the plot not really being there. And I will say I still agree with that statement from before that there's not really a plot, but I feel like it came to a conclusion that I was okay with, only because as I finished it, I felt like it was more so about like the character development of this young girl. And like literally she has all these goals and dreams, and not to say that she's like a selfish person, but like she's a middle schooler and like she's really only focused more on like her wants and needs, that like I feel like she just learns to be more mindful of how other people are feeling. And I feel like that was the main like story that the author wanted to tell, but just had all these extra elements like in there to make it a little more magical and not as preachy, I would say. I think that the author really did that kind of messaging well. I really liked Hassani's character. Not to say that I imagined her to be like me, but like I really do feel like she just felt like a middle schooler, and like how they would act now. Granted, because she's trying to have like a YouTube channel and stuff, I feel like this book is going to be very dated in probably a few years. But I still think that it was a pretty good novel for like what it was. And I like that she had like this whole character arc thing on just being more aware of like how her going for what she wants and using her magic to do that, how that influences other people. And yeah, I really like that. I don't think that I'm going to read the second book, only because I feel like it was a pretty good arc the way that it was, and I'm not really sure I'm going to get like the same vibes from the second book. Even though the covers are beautiful, like I just feel like this was a complete story, and I don't really think that I need more. Plus, I don't really like her dad. Like, he got to be okay, I guess, towards the end, but I literally was just like, I don't really care, and I feel like he's gonna be more in it, and so is like that little girlfriend, and I'm just like, I don't really care about like them, and I think it's gonna be more focused on like their friend group and all of that. I don't know what kind of arc she's gonna go in the second book, and I don't think that I really want to know. I think this was a very great book for a middle grade audience. Not my favorite middle grade that I've ever read, but like it's definitely something that I can see middle schoolers like reading and maybe like reflecting with or something. Maybe not getting as much as I got out of it in terms of like the character of learning how to be less selfish, but I still think that the overall like story was really good. Now I am planning to read Apprentice, The Last Witch in Rome. I started it a little bit already today. I read the first chapter and it started off really interesting. Like, it starts off with the main character's father like dying, and she's in captivity too, and there's like some like Orisha magic in this, which I was very interested about. So I'm just like, are they calling like the Orishas like witches and stuff in this, which would probably not be a good thing, but I don't have that culture to really like make that statement, I guess. So I don't know if like the Orisha magic is going to be the witchiness part of this, but I feel like I'm like too early to really know how this is all going to like tie in together, because even now it is the Roman people that are like killing her and her father. Like, they're like very powerful beings and stuff, and I feel like they had some kind of like agreement where like I forgot what the main character is. Oh, Vesper is the main character, and so even now Vesper is like one of the ones that's like really linked to the Baobab tree and just like a lot of her ashe, which is very familiar Nigerian, Yoruba, Orisha words for me, just because of the uptick in Orisha inspired worlds and fantasy lately. But anyway, like she has the like connection or something, like a strong connection, and so she's trying to use that to get out of her captivity or whatever. But I don't know exactly where it went south. I feel like I almost need to reread this first chapter. It was really short, but I feel like I almost need to reread this chapter just so I can get a clear understanding of what actually happened, because I was literally like doing multiple things at once when I was reading that one. I was getting my car oil changed and they were blasting that music so loud that I was just like, I can barely concentrate. But anyway, I'm going to probably reread that first chapter and try to finish that. It's less than 250 pages. I feel like it's like 228 or something, but we'll see how long that actually takes me. And then I'm also going to be listening to Magic Dark Magic Divine by AJ Locke, and that one is on my Hoopla for an audiobook, and so I'm going to be listening to that tonight while I'm cooking. And so I will check in with my next update in a little bit.
Alright, it is time for me to close this vlog. I am actually a day later than I actually wanted this to be, but you know, life happens and it's just a vlog that I'm not making money from anyway. So anyway, I have finished the last book for this vlog, and that is Apprentice, the Last Witch of Rome. And I had a clip saying like my thoughts on it so far, and I don't know what's going on with that clip, but it just does not want to load or anything, and so I have to just redo all of my thoughts on what I said. And so first, before I get to that, I was talking about how I went on like just a mini vacation. It was literally like just a day away, so not really a vacation, but it was just nice to get away, to be with family. We ended up going to the zoo and this like a children's kind of like indoor playground type of thing. And so yeah, it was fun for the kids, definitely. I had a headache by the end of the first night, and so yeah, it was still a fun experience just to be with like my niece and nephew, who are just a little over 1 now, or I guess 1.5 now, and yeah, they're just growing so big, and so I just always enjoy just being with them and my sisters and my mom. It was really just like a girls trip with the kids, so it was nice. And so about the book, Apprentice, the Last Witch of Rome is a gladiators Roman style kind of book. It's like an alternate history kind of fantasy novel, and now that I finished it, I feel like it's definitely way more political than I thought it was going to be. It still didn't give me the witchy vibes, which I think all of the books that I chose just were not like witchy, and I think that's fine. But yeah, it was just a very interesting take on witches. And yeah, I think I mentioned before that like the ashe is what is considered like the witchiness part of this. I'm not really sure if like calling that a witch would be bad or not, because they're not bad. Like I think ashe comes from the Yoruba, well, it's a religion, I think, too. I don't know much about it, but I do know that it's like something that people follow to this day, and I don't know. I just did not like that they called her a witch. And I think also part of the problem with this book is that it feels very white gaze-y. And I just made up a word, but I don't really know how to like describe it. I just feel like in the beginning, like I was getting hints of her being like the only like black character, and her just trying to fit into this Roman society and stuff, but she doesn't end up being like the only black character. I mean, there's like 2 or 3, maybe 4, but I feel like the main focus was on like the Roman Empire. And I feel like part of what I had problems with when it came to this one is that it really did seem to focus all around like the white Roman characters, and they are not the best people, I will say. Like they have their biases, and I feel like they're low-key racist in the story. Like I don't know, they have their slaves, and not to say that all of them are like people of color. Like there's like a Celt who is probably going to be the love interest because they have like a thing and a bond or whatever. But yeah, like I don't know, like the main conflict surrounded like them, and part of me was just like very confused on like why she was even in this Roman Empire. Like all of her people are pretty much gone, so she's like the last like witch in her and from her culture, because they were wiped out by the Sandoe, which I think is another people of color group. But yeah, like the Romans, they had like a dictator like ruler who was Commodus Caesar something, who is the brother of Lucilla, who is the main character that I actually like. Even then, sometimes her part was just not good to me. I think part of it is that like the writing started to be super repetitive. There was like 2 chapters where like you came to like the same conclusion, which is, this might be like a mild spoiler, but I'll put like spoiler warnings here if you do want to read it. But like she says that she has to kill her brother,
And then we switch to Vesper's point of view, who is dealing with like discovering her witchy powers and all of that. But then you go back to Lucila's perspective and you see her come to the same conclusion that she has to kill her brother. And then there's just some things where like the author literally like describes things the same way. Like I think there was like one scene where she is describing something and it's like word for word like the exact same description, and I'm just like, I don't know, in such a short novel, like I think it just wasn't working for me. Like it was really like the writing that I think just wasn't working for me. Like I really think that the plot was not that strong. Like this is a political story, but like how we got to the end didn't really build up to that point, and I like the build up in my fantasy novels, and this just did not have it. And I think also the characters are just kind of lacking. Like as much as I like Lucila, like I just really wanted more from her. And Vesper, I wanted more from her too. Like those are the two main perspectives, and I just feel like they didn't really have any depth to them. Like I don't know, not to say that this was a bad book. Like I think the vibes are there, like if you do like the political story. And I don't remember if I said this in the corrupted clip or the clip before, but like I think that Lucila's perspective was definitely more interesting. She reminded me of the woman in Son of the Storm, who like she's not really like, well, Lucila's not really hungry for power per se, like, but she was like the queen of this empire, but then I guess her first husband died, so then now her brother's the king and she's remarried, but she just has more aspirations. And that's not to say that like she will do anything to do that. I mean, I guess she kind of will, but not to the extent that the woman from Son of the Storm will. But like I just wanted more from her. And Vesper's story about discovering like her culture and just how much you can do with magic, like it just was not that interesting to me, especially when it came to like the ending. Like I don't know, I was way more interested in the corruption of this empire, and I didn't really like the blend of how the magic was with that. I mean, it was fine. I would give it like 3 stars. I don't really have much else to say about it. Like I think it had interesting elements, but I just wanted more, which I don't know if that's like on me for like literally wanting more from a 200-page novel, but like I don't know. I am also like 30-something% into Magic Divine, and I don't think I'm going to finish it. I mean, like I'm going to finish it, but it's not in this vlog because it's not really a witchy story either. I probably should have went with the Vanished Witch, but I really wanted an audiobook, and so I am going to not finish that in this vlog, but I still want to finish it because I am enjoying it. And so yeah, that will wrap up this vlog. I'm sorry that it is a little bit later than I actually wanted it to be, but you know, life happens. And this is definitely not the witchy stories that I thought I would be getting with like the witchy vibes. Like honestly, it didn't really put me in like that atmospheric like witchy mood. And so here's to hoping that the vampire one will be better. Not to say that it wasn't like good, like these books were good, they just weren't giving me the October feels that I wanted. And so yeah, if I were to rate so far out of the paranormal creatures that I have had, I would, ooh, maybe, I don't know, right now it could be between the werewolves and the not vampires, the werewolves and the angels and demons, because he calls himself Veles or Vales. Man, I think that would make the angels and demons winning right now, which is the last thing that I would have thought. If you have made it to the end of this video, please leave a, is there a witchy emoji? Maybe a cauldron. Is that what that pot is? I think that's what the pot is called, a cauldron, or just something witchy. I don't know. But yeah, I thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.